Hey my friend, welcome to day 5 of our 30-day challenge. Congratulate yourself for making it this far, or if you skipped a day or two, that is a-okay. Remember, this is about progress, not perfection. I am not here to make you feel bad for doing all of the days, none of the days. You're here just to feel a little bit better about yourself. Now, this week we are kind of focusing on plank and strengthening because that's a big pose for a lot of us. We're going to start off with a little bit of arm work and then move into some dolphin pose. This can be a big one for a lot of us, and just know wherever you are in your body and your practice today, you are doing so well. So hit me up on social media, tell me how you're doing, let me see your practice if you care to share. I always love hearing from you, and maybe even ask a friend to join you for our 30-day challenge. So go ahead, roll out your mat, and let's get started. Okay, my friend, we are starting in a seat, however you want to be. You can actually even be in a chair if you'd rather not be on your mat on the ground right now, because we're just going to do a little upper body work to begin. Wherever you are, though, find a nice easy seat, and let's wake our body up with a little shoulder rolling both directions. Maybe one shoulder at a time, both ways. That can feel a little funny, but that's okay. Kind of is nice to get in those shoulder blades like that. And then pause. And then as we started our main sequence, I want you to think of pulling that belly button in, lifting your head up a little higher, taking a big inhale, and then dropping your chin down to your chest. Now holding here for a moment, I want you to think at the very top of your head, the very back of your skull, having a little string, and it's pulling up to the sky while you're dropping that chin down more and finding more length in that cervical spine. Take a great, big, full inhale. As you exhale, think of softening those shoulders down even more, making so much length and space from the tip of your ears through the sides of your neck down those shoulders. Keep that feeling as you roll your right shoulder over to your right ear. Now, the more I think about lifting my left ear up and pressing that left shoulder down, the bigger space I create and the bigger stretch I feel. Your nose can stay pointed just like mine is forward, or you could explore dropping the nose lightly down, opening up through the front of the neck, and then looking back towards your forward or towards the camera, towards the TV, I suppose. Drop that chin down, and again look forward. One more time, drop that chin down, and then roll your chin to your chest, hold there. Roll your opposite ear to opposite shoulder. Same thing here. My right shoulder is pressing down. My right ear is reaching up. And then again, we can hold right here, opening up through that side of the neck, or we can explore pointing our nose in different directions. Now, even just this little teeny tiny movement can have a great big effect on how we feel throughout our day. This is one of my favorite ways to start off my mornings. Just giving my neck a little attention, a little love. Last time, point that nose down. And then roll your chin to your chest, bring your gaze forward. Now from here, I want you to take your hands out in front of you. Flip your palms and rotate. We're rotating way up near our shoulder. So this isn't coming from kind of craning my wrist at all. It's because my bicep is kind of curling away. It's like I'm trying to almost bring the back of my arms facing forward. Reach those fingertips out in a way like you're trying to point them nice and far. Take a great big inhale. Exhale, float them up to shoulder height. Only take them up so far, though, that we don't lose any of that rotation. If that means you have to stop about halfway and that's where you can go, that's great. Inhale, drop it right back down. Exhale, tone the tummy, lift the hands up. Inhale, drop it right back down. 3 more, exhale, lift up. Lower down. 2 more, lift up. Lower down. Last one, lift those hands up, stay. Imagine you have 2 incredibly heavy things in your hands. It could be anything that pops in your head that makes you laugh and smile, but something that's very heavy and hard for us to keep our hands up at this level. Turn on all the muscles in your arms. Kiss the shoulder blades together behind your body, open up across your chest. Inhale, slide your hands out, keeping those muscles engaged the whole time, because again, we're still holding something heavy. Exhale, pull them right back together. Now, I want us to open and close and keep them at the same level the whole time. If you notice them kind of waving or drooping, then maybe go a little slower. Maybe take them a little lower so they're not so high up. But we want to keep reaching our fingertips as far forward and as far away from us as possible. Let's do 2 more, opening and closing. Last one, open and close. And then bring those pinkies towards one another. Take a great big inhale. Exhale, kiss your pinkies together. If that's not hard enough, this time cross one hand on top of the other and let it go, and cross the other hand on top of the other. So it might be enough just to touch those pinkies in. That could be enough of a little engagement, a workout, or if we have more range of motion, if we can keep our palms facing up the whole time, we can do a little crossover. But I want you to exhale, cross it over, inhale, release. Exhale, cross it over, inhale, release. Back and forth. Let's do 2 more sets. So even it out if you're doing those crosses, or 2 more if you're touching those pinkies in. And then open, bring the pinkies together if you can, or as close together without, again, losing that rotation. Take a big inhale. Exhale, think of pancaking your fingers up to the sky. Inhale, drop it down. Exhale, lift the fingertips up, keeping that rotation as you go down. 3 more, exhale, lift up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up, losing no rotation. Lower back down. Last one, lift up, stay. Think of almost someone holding your wrist, pulling them out and away from you. It's almost like they're trying to cave your chest in, but you're keeping those ribs pulling towards one another, those shoulder blades together behind your back. Lift your fingertips up a little higher, hold. Keep reaching nice and far away. Big inhale, lift them up just a little bit higher. Don't lose any of that rotation. Hold. One more time, lift them up a little higher, hold. And then from here, wherever that is, we're gonna do little pulses. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Shoulders down, kiss those shoulders in, pull that belly button up and in. Repeat. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. One more time. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Take a great big breath. Exhale, slowly lower them down. Do not drop those heavy objects. Slide them out and away. Hold it right there. Take a great big breath. Without letting your ribs splay, simply try and poke your thumbs behind you. Inhale, bring them back in line. Exhale, poke them behind you. No rib splaying. Inhale, open up. 3 more, poke them behind you. And you might not go as far as me. You might not have as much range of motion, or maybe you've got even more than I can, and you can really reach those guys back. But I want you to think of opening across your chest, poking those thumbs back, letting it go. 2 more, poke it back, let it go. Last one, reach it back, hold. Now imagine someone is holding both of your arms and they're pulling them apart while at the same time you're drawing your low belly in, ribs together. You've got those heavy, heavy objects in your hands. I want us to take circles going backwards. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Hold those little heavy objects, sit up taller and straighter. Go forward with our circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Sit up taller and straighter, belly button in. Reverse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. One more time forward. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Take a great big breath. Flip your palms so they're facing towards or away from your body, and then lift your hands up like little goalposts. Same little concept. I want you to reach your hands, your elbows back behind you, let it go. Exhale, reach them back behind you, let it go. 3 more times, open across your chest, release. 2 more times, open, release. Last one, open, release. Take a great big breath. Exhale, now slide your hands together. Don't drop those elbows. Inhale, open them back apart. It's like there's a little table on either side of you that you're just sliding your elbows across and then slowly opening them back up. Now, if anyone enjoys this upper body work and wants to repeat it, you could always try this while holding weights. It's obviously a long time to keep our arms up, so it's good to do it without weights and just see how that feels. But if you're thinking, I could take it up a notch, you could grab a set of weights. I'd probably recommend a 2-pound weight, maybe a 3 if you're really feeling it, or even just a 1 or a ½ pound. It's a long time to keep our arms up, but it's a great way to kind of tone, shape, and give your upper body a little bit of love without having to feel like we're doing those planks, that kind of bigger pose a lot of us do, especially in Pilates. Now, this next time, I want you to close those arms together, hold. Take a great big breath, touch your elbows together, touch your hands together, release. Exhale, tone your belly, bring those hands, fingers together, let it go. 3 more times. Now notice, are you letting your elbows droop down a little bit as you bring your hands together? We want to keep them upright the whole time. So if you feel, oh, I'm so sorry. Went down the wrong way there. If you feel like your elbows are dropping down, maybe don't even worry about if they touch or not. Just bring them together as close as you can. Now, try and touch your hands, elbows together. Think of lifting your heart up through the middle of that space between your arms. Take a big inhale. Exhale, lift your fingertips up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift your fingertips up. Inhale, lower down. 3 more. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, right back down. 2 more, up. Right back down. Last one, up, hold. It's time for those little pulses again. We're going to pulse up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Take a breath, smile, sit up taller and straighter. Repeat. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. One more time. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Big inhale. Slowly open those hands out and then relax them down. Whoo, we don't even need weights and you get a workout, right? From here, I want you to go ahead and come down to your hands and your knees. Find that little tabletop and go ahead and roll your shoulders a little bit. I almost think about pressing the ground away as I roll my shoulders back. And then same thing, go ahead and roll them forward. One more time, roll them back. And roll them forward. Now a little stretch from here, press down into that hand. Think of lifting up and away, reach your right hand way up. Now, our left hand is obviously still working, but our right hand, we can take a few big circles, big or small. I guess mine aren't too big right now. Feels nice to keep them a little bit little. You can really circle around. You might even get a little stretch to your body as you do that. And then reverse, take it the other direction. And then from here, I want you to reach that hand way up, take a big inhale, and we're going to thread the needle, which means to bring our arm down. Your shoulder will relax on the ground, your ear, your head as well. Just take a moment to settle here. Really let that hand melt onto the floor. Just let yourself soften. Now, ideally, we want to keep our hips even. So if you feel like they've completely swayed over to your left side, can you stabilize? Can you reach those sitting bones straight back behind you? I like to wiggle my fingers around here, maybe make a fist and open out, or just be still. When you're ready, press into that left hand, unravel, take your right hand way up high, and then bring it down. Same thing, other side. Lift the hand up, find that great big stretch, maybe find those circles we did, big or small, fast or slow. No hurry whatsoever. Again, even if your body gets involved a little bit right here, I'm not too concerned with your alignment. We're just moving and grooving. And then when you're ready, thread the needle to the other side. So drop that shoulder down, drop your ear, and let yourself relax. Now again, it's easy to let those hips sway over to the same direction your fingertips are reaching, but we want to keep reaching them back behind us. Again, I like to wiggle my fingers, maybe ball my fist and release a couple of times, or just let myself settle here. This can be a favorite pose of some, or maybe not to our liking, and that's okay. We don't have to love everything. There are so many different ways to move our body. It's not about finding a one-size-fits-all approach. When you're ready, press into that right hand, send your left up and bring it down. Now we're going to come to a dolphin pose because I find it to be very helpful in strengthening my body, both for plank, and it's a little bit more gentle than a true downward dog on our wrist. Now, I will say that it used to be not one of my favorite poses because it's a big one on our upper body, opening up through our chest. So for those of us that have a little bit of tightness through our pecs, in our shoulder girdle a little bit, this can be not necessarily uncomfortable, but not a favorite of everyone's. And it's okay. Again, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. But what I find helpful is fanning my fingertips wide and pressing evenly. I see a lot of people's wrists lift up here. So if you can think about pressing the wrist down and keeping the weight even along the entire palm before we go anywhere. And very similar to our Pilates push-up, we want to keep our elbows pointing towards our heels. If you find you're splaying off to the side, A, your head's going to be much closer to the ground, and B, that puts a lot of pressure on our joints in a very strange way. So the more we can point our elbows straight back before we go anywhere, evenly press down, and then we tuck our toes and lift our hips up into our dolphin pose. Now again, this is a big one, so maybe even just coming up here is more than enough, in which case just drop down and relax after a few breaths. You can, of course, try and walk your toes in a little bit closer to your heels. You might want to bend the knees just like we do in our downward facing dog, but I'm thinking about kind of pressing my heart through my arms, just like we were doing in those little prayer pumps where we had our elbows and hands together and we were lifting our fingertips up. We were trying to lift our sternum through that space. Now we're pressing our sternum through that space. And again, we can bend the knees, we can hold, we might want to pedal through our feet around here. This is a big, big, big posture. You are doing fabulous wherever you are. Now we can hold here for another breath or two. We can drop down, but eventually we will come into our downward facing dog. If we're coming straight from our dolphin pose, see if you can straighten your arms and press your hips back. If we needed to drop down, realign, and lift up, that's great too. But I want you to think of that same feeling we just had a moment ago where your elbows were kind of pointing back, your inner arms were hugging towards one another, and you were trying to press your sternum through that space between your hands. Lift those sitting bones up higher. Feel free to deeply bend your knees all you want to. Maybe swivel the hips around. Find a little movement. No hurry, no rush whatsoever. Take a great, big, full inhale. Big, deep breath out. Big, full inhale. Big breath out. And just like from our main sequence, I want you to lift up high onto your toes and swivel your heels over to the right. When I'm in this position, I'm thinking about especially reaching back further with my top hip, which right now is my left hip. If our heels are over to the right, my left hip is a little bit closer to the sky, and I'm trying to reach through that left side a little bit more. Rise high onto your toes and swivel your heels to the other side. Now that I'm on my other side, it's my right hip that's lifting up. I'm finding a great big stretch all along my right side body and a little through my IT bands. Now each of us is different, so just because you don't feel it exactly where I do, doesn't mean it's wrong. We all have different places in our body with more or less tension. Unravel, bring yourself back to center. And then from here, we're going to come into a little pigeon pose. Just the mildest, teeniest little pigeon pose ever. I want your knee to point towards that front corner of the mat and your right heel to point towards your left hip. Now, pigeon pose is a big one, but do you recognize this position at all? We've really already been here in our 30-day challenge. The other day when we lied on our back, we brought our knee into our chest and reached our foot away from us. We were in a reclined pigeon pose, and we were using it for some oblique work, or some abdominal work, obliques as well. But here it's more of a focus on opening up through the front hip and a little bit through those abductors, adductors, or side booty muscles. And holding here can be a great big stretch on its own. Maybe it's too much to go anywhere else. You can also relax down onto those forearms. This can be a truly restorative pose where we really uber kind of sink into the mat, and I do like doing that. So if you're in the mood to do that, go for it. But again, we can think of this as a little bit of upper body work, pressing into our forearms and trying to almost shine your heart forward. Now, if you're kind of leaning over to one side or you feel like you're really high up, that's okay. Again, all of our bodies are a bit different. If your sitting bone is really far away from the mat, what can be really helpful is grabbing a cushion or a big blanket and putting it underneath so you have something to stabilize. We're all a little bit different. We all have different ranges of motion. Now, a true pigeon, usually you're trying to bring your front shin in line with the front edge of the mat so you get a deeper rotation in that hip. But we haven't done a whole lot of warming up on this side yet, so we wouldn't want to go too far. So just a mild little guy is good to start off with. Take a big, deep inhale, big breath out. And then when you're ready, I want you to come onto your hands. I want you to tuck your back toe. You're going to take a big inhale, and can we step into our plank pose? Can we hop out and find that plank? Take a great big inhale. Hinge at those hips back. Excellent job. No hurry, no rush whatsoever. Still think about hugging your inner arms towards one another, hollowing your armpits, reaching your sitting bones further away, maybe dropping the heels down a little bit lower. You are doing so wonderful. Let's rise high onto our toes again and swivel our heels over to the right. Lift that left hip up. Think of fanning open your right ribs. Lift up high onto your toes again and swivel your heels to the other side. Same thing. Give yourself a moment or two and then unravel. And we're going to come to our pigeon on our other side. So bring your left leg forward, or if you did the other side, it doesn't matter. Now again, this isn't going to be the biggest, deepest pigeon pose we've ever done unless you're really ready for that. And you might notice a difference between sides. Maybe on this side you have a lot more range of motion. Maybe we need to be a little bit more delicate and careful. But holding up here for a minute, letting yourself breathe, letting yourself relax into it. A lot of times when we get into poses that are maybe a little bit more stretchy than what we're used to do, that we don't feel like we have quite the mobility or flexibility that we can get into, we start to hold our breath. We start to kind of get anxious about it. But if you can relax, if you can tell your muscles, hey, could I soften here? Could I just let myself sink into the pose? Sometimes it becomes a little bit more accessible. So taking a few big, deep breaths when you find those places of not necessarily uncomfortability, but a little bit more relaxed. Bring your hands down. Take a moment. Take a great big inhale. Big deep breath out. And we can hold here for a moment or two, or once more like we did on the other side, pressing into your forearms, reaching your heart forward, pressing down and from the fingers all the way down to your elbows. Take a great big breath. Big sigh out. No hurry, no rush. You can always stay a little longer on one side or the other. But when you're ready, we'll bring our hands back underneath our shoulders. We're going to tuck our back toe, and one more time, back to our plank we go. Big, deep, full inhale. Exhale, find that plank pose. Give yourself a moment or two here. Are you maybe ready to try dipping your heels in our plank pose side to side? Big inhale. Swivel your heels to the right. Inhale back to center. Swivel your heels to the left. Inhale back to center. Hold there. Tone that tummy. Lengthen through the small of your back, just like we were talking about the other day. Take one more big sip of air in. Set those knees down. Sink back into a child's pose. Crawl your fingertips away. Tent the fingertips. Lift your wrist. And slowly roll yourself all the way up to a seat. As always, give yourself a pat on the back. I certainly hope you're noticing yourself getting a little bit stronger, even if we're feeling a little tired. Hopefully we had a nice, lovely, relaxing day yesterday, and I certainly can't wait to see you tomorrow.